besties, what's up? My name is Meg. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are matching Thanksgiving vibes with book recommendations. So our first category that we have is the main course. Now the main course is meaty, so it is character driven, it's plot driven, it's everything along those lines. I have 12 book recommendations for the main course. So let's start filling our Thanksgiving plate. Okay, so up first we have Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. Now, Throne of Glass is about an assassin, Selena Sardothien, who has spent the last year in a mine, and she is brought out of the mines and into a tournament to where she can win her freedom by being the king's champion. So it's all about the trials and tribulations that she faces within that tournament in order to win her freedom. I know a lot of you may have heard kind of what Throne of Glass is about, but that's what we have. Next, we have The Kingdom of Crows trilogy by Olivia Wildenstein, and I'm going to read from the back because I can't remember. All her life, Fallon Rossi has been marked by her half-humanity. Nearly pure-blooded fairy at court has looked down on her for her curved ears, lack of magic, and fond for water serpents. But never Dante Riggio, the Prince of Luce. The flirtatious royal has held Fallon's heart ever since Dante gave Fallon her first kiss. But as doubts creep in of how a fae prince and a halfling could ever have lasting happiness together, Fallon finds hope in an oracle's prophecy. She will be queen, but first she must free the crows. Confused yet determined, Fallon embarks on the hunt that could give her everything she's wanted but couldn't have. Power, respect, perhaps even acceptance, and most desirably, her prince. But unknown to Fallon, her quest will unleash more than just her destiny, and when the ancient demon awakens, he plans to have Fallon all to himself. So that's what The Kingdom of Crows is all about. Now, for the next book recommendation that we have, it's one of my absolute favorite, like this is God tier series for me, which is the Plated Prisoner series. So starting off with the first book, Guild by Raven Kennedy. This is the story of King Midas, or that's what we're always told. The Golden King with his palace of riches and me, the girl he turned to gold. Up on the snowy mountains of the 6th kingdom of Auria, I'm locked away in Highbell Castle, away from the dangers of the world below. No one can get in apart from him. King Midas rescued me from the streets. He gave me food, shelter, and his heart. I promised to love him forever. But when war comes to the kingdom, a deal is struck, and I am at the heart of the bargain. Everything I know starts to change. My love for Midas is challenged, my trust broken. Suddenly, I'm sent to travel between kingdoms to a future I no longer understand, and my spirit becomes truly tested. I'm always told that this is his tale, but perhaps that is no longer the case. It's mine. This is the story of Auron. This is God tier series for me. I absolutely love this book. Out of all 6 of them, my favorite is the 3rd book, which is Gleam. Next, we have The Shepherd King duology, which is One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. So this is about Elspeth and the Kingdom of Blunder. Now, this magic system is very unique. Their magic is unleashed via like playing cards. I would kind of almost give out like tarot card vibes, and essentially they tap it 3 times in order to activate the magic. However, magic always comes with a price. Now, Elspeth meets a mysterious highwayman on the forest road. Her life takes a drastic turn. Thrust into a world of shadow and deception, she joins a dangerous quest to cure Blunder of the dark magic infecting it. Except the highwayman just so happens to be the king's own nephew, captain of the most dangerous men in Blunder, and guilty of high treason. And it says, a maiden must unleash the monster within to save her kingdom in this dark, lush, gothic fantasy duet. Our next book is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is a supernatural thriller set in the 90s about a women's book club that must protect its suburban community from a mysterious and handsome stranger who turns out to be a blood-sucking fiend. But after giving up her career as a nurse to marry an ambitious doctor and become a mother, Patricia's life has never felt smaller. The days are long, her kids are ungrateful, the husband is distant, and her to-do list is never really done. The one thing she has to look forward to is her book club, a group of Charleston mothers united only by their love for true crime and suspenseful fiction. In these meetings, they are more likely to discuss the FBI's recent siege of Waco as much as the ups and downs of marriage and motherhood. But when an artistic and sensitive stranger moves into the neighborhood, the book club's meetings turn into speculation about the newcomer. Patricia is initially attracted to him, but some local children go missing and she starts to suspect the newcomer is involved. She begins her own investigation, assuming that he's a Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy. What she uncovers is far more terrifying, and soon she and her book club are the only people standing between the monster they've invited into their homes and their unsuspecting community. Next, we have the Atlas trilogy by Olivia Blake. So this is about an Alexandrian society of lost knowledge to civilization. It's a foremost secret society of magical academics in the world. Those who earn a place among the Alexandrians will secure a life of wealth, power, and prestige beyond their wildest dreams, and each decade only the 6 most uniquely talented magicians are selected to be considered for initiation. Entering the latest round of 6, Libby Rhodes, Nico de Verona, unwillingly halves of the unfathomable whole, who exert uncanny control over every element of physicality. Raina Mori, a naturalist who can intuit the language of life itself. Parissa Kameli, a telepath who can traverse the depths of the subconscious, navigating worlds inside the human mind. Callum Nova, an empath, easily mistaken for a manipulative illusionist who can influence the intimate workings of a person's inner self. Finally, there is Tristan Kane, who can see through illusions to a new structure of reality, an ability so rare that he nor his peers can fully grasp its implications. When the candidates are recruited by the mysterious Atlas Blakely, they are told they will have 1 year to qualify for initiation, during which time they will be preliminary access to the Society's archives and judged based on their contributions to various subjects of impossibility, time and space, luck and thought, life and death. 5 they are told will be initiated, 1 will be eliminated. The 6 potential initiates will fight to survive the next year of their lives if they can prove themselves to be the best among their rivals. Most of them will, most of them. Next, we have Fairytale by Veronica Lancet. What could possibly go wrong in a town that rhymes with fairy tale? August 1955, when Miss Darcy O'Sullivan, an orphaned English teacher from Boston, receives a letter that her biological father passed away, she is surprised to find herself included in his will. There is only one condition: she must travel to Fairytale to attend his funeral. With the promise of a sizable inheritance, Darcy decides to journey to the small coastal town that holds the secrets of her birth. But the moment she steps foot into Fairytale, things start to go amiss. Odd residents, odd rumors, odd deaths. Everything about Fairytale is odd, including brooding Caleb Hale, part of the infamous Hale family. During the day, she falls deeper and deeper under his spell as he forces her to step out of her comfort zone and embrace her inner sensuality. But at night, it's another man who haunts her dreams. Amon d'Arton, a nobleman who lived 2 centuries ago, is sweet and suave, where Caleb is intense and dangerous, and Darcy feels more torn than ever. Soon she finds herself embroiled in a triangle of lies, deceit, and inexplicable events that make her question her sanity. When an ancient evil threatens the town and everything Darcy holds dear, she must make the ultimate choice, but will she survive it? Also, by the way, I'm reading the backs of these because a lot of them I know what happened and I know the plot and everything. I just sometimes have a hard time like explaining in my own words what happens without giving away details. So I don't want to give away details. As much as possible, I don't want to give away details. Next, we have The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Torton. At a masquerade ball thrown by her parents at their English country house, Evelyn Hardcastle will die. She will die every day until Aidan Bishop can identify who murdered her and to stop the killer. At the beginning of each day, Aidan wakes up at the Blackheath house in the body of a different guest of the gala he attended the night before, and some of those guests are more helpful than others. The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle is a breathlessly innovative Gothic mystery that follows one man's quest to find a killer within a mind-bending temporal loop where no one can be trusted and nothing is quite what it seems. Next, we have Amid Clouds and Bones by Ella Fields. As the half-fairy daughter of a human king, my days were spent tucked out of sight until the Seelie Fae sought an alliance with our kingdom. In exchange for my father's help in defeating their unseelie enemies, I would wed Attican, the Heartless. The Seelie prince loathed everyone but none more than me. Throughout the years leading to our nuptials, each encounter grew more terrifying than the last as he demonstrated how he'd earned his infamous reputation. Fear would only doom me faster, so I learned to hide it with the games I soon became happy to play. I wasn't supposed to crave a monster, but just when I thought I might tame the untamable, fate intervened and delivered me straight to his enemy. Next, these next two books are set in the same universe. So we have The Savage and the Swan by Ella Fields. The King of Wolves was more beast than man, more tyrant than king, and so much more than he seemed. Raised to avenge his murdered parents, he'd been trained and conditioned until nothing but violence and hatred lined the walls of his dead heart. For nearly 4 years, I'd done all I could to help my kingdom as we'd faced the Wolf King's unconquerable evil, hardly anything at all. As the only heir to the Gracewood line, I'd been relegated to menial tasks that would keep me and my secrets safe. A chance to do more than fret behind our castle walls arrived when I breached them after overhearing my parents' plans for my future. Fleeing, I unknowingly raced into a fate we'd all desperately hoped to avoid. By the time I saw him coming, it was far too late. For my family, for my kingdom, for my heart. Before I could staunch the bleeding, the king had me under his giant paw, and one wrong move after another caused those razor-sharp claws to sink deeper and deeper beneath my bruised skin. I might have been trapped, naive and furious, but I still had a kingdom to save and a plan. Yet when we collided, the bloodshed, the fear, his atrocities, all of it dissolved like stardust upon the night sea. The stars had mapped out our destiny, but it didn't matter what they or my heart wanted. I refused to see the enigmatic male, the heartless lost boy with a soul beneath the flesh of a monster. The savage king who destroyed everything I loved would fall, even if my heart fell with him. Next, The Wolf and the Wildflower. When I was young, I was told my true love would be a fairy king. I didn't heed the warning. I tumbled into love as soon as our eyes first met, unaware that he wasn't what he seemed. My king wanted marriage, power, devotion, and a family. He had all but one, and as our kingdom stood upon the precipice of ruin, the weight of failure tore us apart, though it was not war but his betrayal that sent me running to a foreign land, and straight into the arms of a one-eyed warrior. The wolf was a weapon of heartless destruction, a rogue without a real name, and nothing I was allowed to want. A week spent within his city and walls of his threadbare home was all it took to irrevocably change everything and nothing at all. For there was no escaping the life I'd once thought I'd cherish forever. My kingdom was dying, and my king would soon start searching for his missing queen. Attempting to keep all I'd found, and the heartache he'd caused would only create more. So I fled from the wolf who hadn't learned my true identity, and I returned to my kingdom with a silent vow to heal my torn heart. I would try to forgive my faithless husband and accept my blood-stained future, but those meddlesome fates had other plans. The warrior I'd left without warning was born a hunter and conditioned to be a monster, an alpha in his own right. He would accept nothing less than what he hungered for, even if the battle of his life delivered our hearts to their doom and our kingdoms to their knees. And lastly, The Broken Blades by Mai Cortland. It's the season for treason. The king of Yusun must die. The 5 most dangerous liars in the land have been mysteriously summoned to work together for a single objective: to kill the god King Jun. He has it coming. Under his merciless, immortal hand, the nobles flourish, while the poor and innocent are imprisoned, ruined, or sold. And now each of the 5 blades will come for him. Each has tasted bitterness from the hired hitman seeking atonement, a lovely assassin who seeks freedom, or even the prince banished for his cruel crimes. None can resist the sweet, icy lure of vengeance. They can agree on murder, they can agree on treachery, but for these 5 killers, each versed in deceptions, lies, and betrayals, it's not enough to forge an alliance. To survive, they'll have to find a way to trust each other, but only one can take the crown. Let the best liar win. So now, matching our Thanksgiving vibes to dessert. Now next, matching our meal for dessert. So this is something sweet, comforting, feel good, everything like that. We have First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. So it's a hopeless romantic meets a demoralized radio host in this cozy, sleepless, in Seattle-inspired love story. Aiden Valentine has a secret. He's fallen out of love with love, and as a host of Baltimore's romance hotline, that's a bit of a problem. But when a young girl calls into the situation asking for dating advice for her mom, the interview goes viral, thrusting Aiden and the heartstrings into the limelight. Lucy Stone thought she was doing just fine. She has a good kid, she has a good job, an incredible family, and a smart, slightly devious kid. But when all of Baltimore is suddenly scrutinizing her love life, or lack thereof, she begins to question if she's as happy as she believed. Maybe a little more romance wouldn't be such a bad thing. Everyone wants Lucy to find her happy ending, even the handsome, temperamental man calling the shot. But when sparks start to fly behind the scenes, Lucy must make the final decision between the radio-sponsored Happily Ever After or the man in the headphones next to her. Next, we have Beach Read by Emily Henry. Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction, January Andrews' best-selling romance. When she pens a Happily Ever After, he kills off his entire cast. They're polar opposites. In fact, the only thing they have in common is for the next 3 months, they're living in neighboring beach houses, broken bogged down with writer's block. Then one hazy evening, one thing leads to another, and they strike a deal designed to force them out of their creative ruts. Augustus will spend the summer writing something happy, and January will pen the next great American novel. She'll take him on field trips worthy of any rom-com montage, and he'll take her to interview surviving members of a backwoods death cult. Obviously. Everyone will finish a book and no one will fall in love. Really. Next we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Nora Stevens' life is books. She reads them all, and she is not the type of heroine. And she's not that type of heroine. Not the plucky one, not the laid-back dream girl, and especially not the sweetheart. In fact, the only people Nora is a heroine for are her clients, for whom she lands enormous deals as a cutthroat literary agent, and her beloved sister Libby, which is why she agrees to go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina for the month of August, when Libby begs her for a sister's trip away with visions of a small town transformation for Nora, who she's convinced needs to become the heroine in her own story. But instead of picnics in meadows or run-ins with a handsome country doctor or bulging four-armed bartender, Nora keeps bumping into Charlie Lastra, a bookish, brooding editor from back in the city. It would be a meet cute if not for the fact that they've met many times and it's never been cute. If Nora knows she's not an ideal heroine, Charlie knows he's nobody's hero. But as if they're thrown together again and again in a series of coincidences no editor worth their salt would allow, what they discover might just unravel the carefully crafted stories they've written about themselves. Next we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. When it comes to love, Emma is cursed. Every guy she dates finds his true love after they break up. But it turns out she's not the only one afflicted with this condition. His name is Justin, and his Reddit thread about being love's good luck charm has gone viral. Now the two have come up with an ingenious plan. If they date each other, their curses will cancel out and they'll go on to find their soulmate. Only Justin wasn't supposed to be so unbelievably cute and hilarious. But when Emma's toxic mother shows up and Justin has to assume guardianship of his 3 siblings, they're suddenly navigating a lot more than they expected, including catching real feelings. Has fate finally brought the perfect pair together, or will their cure be way more hazardous than the curse itself? Next, we have the Spell Shop series. So the Spell Shop and the Enchanted Greenhouse. Obviously, the Spell Shop has a character that has the Enchanted Greenhouse if you saw last week's video. So today we're going to be talking about the Spell Shop, since that's the one that I can actually tell you about. Keela has always had trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian at the Great Library of Elysium, she and her assistant Kaz, a magically sentient spider plant, have spent the last decade sequestered among the Empire's most precious spellbooks, preserving their magic for the city's elite. When a revolution begins and the library goes up in flames, she and Kaz flee with all the spellbooks they can carry and head to a remote island Keela never thought she'd see again, her childhood home. Taking refuge there, Keela discovers, much to her dismay, a nosy and very handsome neighbor who can't take a hint and keeps showing up day after day to make sure she's fed and to help fix up her new home. In need of income, Keela identifies something that even the bakery in town doesn't have: jam. With the help of an old recipe book her parents left her and a bit of illegal magic, her cottage garden is soon covered in ripe berries. But magic can do more than make life a little sweeter, so Keela risks the consequences of using unsanctioned spells and opens the island's first ever and much needed secret spell shop. It says, like a Hallmark rom-com full of mythical creatures and fueled by cinnamon rolls and magic. This spell shop will heal your heart and feed your soul. And lastly, we have Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Assistant wanted. Notorious high-ranking villain seeks loyal, level-headed assistant for unspecified office duties, supporting staff for random mayhem and terror and other dark things in general. Discretion a must, excellent benefits. With ailing family to support, Evie Sage's employment status isn't just important, it's vital. So when a mishap with Renadon's most infamous villain results in a job offer, naturally she says yes. No job is perfect, of course, but even less so when you develop a teeny crush on your terrifying, temperamental, and undeniably hot boss. Don't find evil so attractive, Evie. But just when she's getting used to severed heads suspended from the ceiling and an odd squish of an errant eyeball beneath her heel, Evie suspects this dungeon has a huge rat, and not just the literal kind. Because something rotten is growing in the kingdom of Renadon, and someone wants to take the villain and his entire nefarious empire out. Now, Evie must not only resist drooling over her boss, but also figure out exactly who is sabotaging his work, and ensure he makes them pay. After all, a good job is hard to find. So we have Assistant to the Villain, Apprentice to the Villain, and Accomplice to the Villain, all by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Now lastly, Thanksgiving wouldn't be Thanksgiving without our chaotic relatives. I have picked out 7 books / series that have chaotic, messy drama. Firstly, we have Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. Jason Deason is walking home through the chilly Chicago streets one night, looking forward to a quiet evening in front of the fireplace with his wife Daniela and their son Charlie, when his reality shatters. Are you happy with your life? Those are the last words Jason Deason hears before the masked abductor knocks him unconscious, before he awakens to find himself strapped to a gurney surrounded by strangers in hazmat suits, before a man Jason's never met smiles down at him and says, "Welcome back, my friend." In this world he's woken up to, Jason's life is not the one he knows. His wife is not his wife, his son was never born, and Jason is not an ordinary college physics professor, but a celebrated genius who has achieved something remarkable, something impossible. Is it this world or the other that's the dream? And even if the home he remembers is real, how can Jason possibly make it back to the family he loves? The answers lie in a journey more wondrous and horrifying than anything he could have imagined. One that will force him to confront the darkest parts of himself, even as he battles a terrifyingly, unseemingly unbeatable foe. Dark Matter is a brilliantly plotted tale that is once sweeping and intimate, mind-bendingly strange, and profoundly human. A relentlessly surprising science fiction thriller about choices, paths not taken, and how far we'll go to claim the lives we dream of. Next, we have We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinambroru. After an accident that nearly kills her, Emily and her husband Freddie move from London to a beautifully Dartmoor country house called Larkin Lodge. This house is gorgeous, striking, and to Emily, something about it feels deeply wrong. Old boards creak at night, fires extinguish, and books fall from the shelves, all of it stemming from the terrible presence she feels in the third floor room. But these things happen only when Emily is alone, so are they happening at all? Is she still medically fragile? Her post-sepsis condition can cause hallucinatory side effects, which means she cannot fully trust her senses. Freddie does not notice anything odd and is happy with their chance at a fresh start. She, however, starts to believe the house is haunted by someone who had been murdered in it, even though she can find no evidence of a wrongful death. As bizarre events pile up and her marriage starts to crumble, Emily becomes obsessed with discovering the truth about Larkin Lodge. But just as the house has secrets, so do Emily and her husband. Next, we have Blood on Her Tongue by Joanna Van Veen. The Netherlands, 1887. Lucy's twin sister Sarah is unwell. She refuses to eat, mumbles nonsensically, and is increasingly obsessed with a centuries-old corpse recently discovered on her husband's grand estate. The doctor has diagnosed her with temporary insanity caused by a fever of the brain. To protect her twin from a terrible fate in a lunatic asylum, Lucy must unravel the mystery surrounding her sister's condition. But it's clear her twin is hiding something. Then again, Lucy is harboring secrets of her own too. Then the worst happens. Sarah's behavior takes a turn for the strange. She becomes angry and hungry. Lucy soon comes to suspect that something is trying to possess her beloved sister. Or is it madness? As Sarah changes before her very eyes, Lucy must reckon with the dark, monstrous truth or risk losing her forever. Next, we have Zodiac Academy. Now, best way I can describe Zodiac Academy by Carolyn Peckham and Susan Valenti is that this is about twin sisters who are learning that they just have magic. And they go into this whole new world, into Solaria, and they face all kinds of things. Just a whole bunch of drama with the heirs who could possibly take over her and her sister's throne, that they realize that they are the true heirs to the throne. I wasn't the biggest fan of book one. However, this literally feels like trashy reality TV, but fantasy version. And I chugged through it, even though the first one wasn't my favorite, but I ended up loving everything else. Technically, I haven't finished the last book, but I still recommend Zodiac Academy all the way. Next, we have The Boys of Tommen. Starting off with Binding 13, as this is the first book in the series. He wants to save her, she wants to hide. She's damaged, he's determined, fate brought them together, love binds them. Johnny Kavanagh has everything going for him. On the rugby pitch, he's a force to be reckoned with, even plagued with a hidden injury. Everyone knows he's heading straight for the top, but that means there's no room for mistakes or distractions, not even the shy new girl at Tommen College, the one with sad eyes and concealed bruises. He needs to stay focused, keep his cool, and not let anything get in the way of a bigger picture. except he knows it. This lonely girl has become his only picture. Life has never been easy for Shannon Lynch. Bullied and tortured, she arrives at Tommen College midway through the school year, praying for a fresh start and desperate to shake off the demons that plague her. But when she meets the notorious Johnny Kavanaugh on her first day, her plans to keep a low profile are at serious risk. As they fall into a complicated friendship and grapple with their undeniable chemistry, hidden pain, and complicated secrets threaten to be their undoing, but Johnny won't give up on Shannon, no matter what it might cost them both. So I highly recommend this if you want a good tearjerker. I have 2 out of the 3 vlogs that I was making somewhere else on my channel. I've read up to releasing 10. I got partway through releasing 10 and realized that I needed to take a step back as I could not handle it mentally at the moment. Either way, very dramatic, very messy. Highly, highly recommend. Next, we have an incomplete series, which is Heir of Broken Fate by Mads Rafferty. Heir of Broken Fate. It's exquisite to see that something so beautiful, shrouded and hidden by darkness, still shine bright. 150 years ago, the Fae race vanished, along with their magic and creatures. With the fallen Fae, lands on the humans were soon to follow as corruption spread throughout the realm. Heir to the throne, Delilah Covington is forced to watch her people suffer under the sinful hands of her father, the king, while she herself suffers his cruel hand. Delilah has longed for change, her prayers going unanswered until she discovers salvation. Fae are alive. In desperation, Delilah flees her home and crosses the border in hopes that the Fae will save her people. Yet she isn't the only one who needs help. Caught in a web of lies and riddles, Delilah's only chance at hope is Nox, one of the irritatingly yet frustratingly charming Fae kings. Together they'll need to unravel the many mysteries to bring freedom to both their oppressed people or damn them all. Once again, this is another series that I read in a reading vlog on my channel, however, incomplete. Lastly, we have the villains of lore, so the blood of Hercules and the bonds of Hercules. Step into the Colosseum at the Spartan War College where monsters are made and mortally is won and even a god can die. Alexis Hart isn't a hero, and she certainly isn't a god. All she's ever been is a survivor, but the fates disagree. When a blood test leads her to admittance at the Spartan War Academy, she'll have to do more than merely survive. Alexis will claim her birthright, immortality, but immortality is a privilege one earned in the crucible of the academy, where the heroes are villains and classrooms battlegrounds. While gladiators Achilles and Petro, her demanding mentors, hone her into a warrior, Augustine and Chiron, her professors and the brooding heirs to the underworld haunt her steps and her thoughts, because where there are gods, there are bound to be monsters, and there is more than one hunting Alexis. So if Thanksgiving were a book, these would be the stories filling my plate and the company I would surround myself with this holiday. A mix of sweet, savory, and a little bit of chaos. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you did enjoy. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving. Do all of the YouTube things you know how to do, and I will see you in a bit. Bye!